Hey everybody, so I just wanted to do a quick video. Got this really cool gift from Debbie. Um, Maybe do a little bit of a talk about a couple things coming up and like just where things are at and that type of stuff. But I got this cool gift. I've talked about in the past. I've talked about how much I love wind chimes and how much my mom loved wind chimes. We had some small ones at our house out in Greenpoint, but where I remember the wind chimes from most was my Aunt Ruth out in Ravine. She had a bunch of them on her back porch, and I always just loved the sound. It's just so calming. And I did that video out near Rock Covered Bridge. I can't think of the name, but it's that pavilion. It's a memorial pavilion, and they had those wind chimes. I did the short there, and I love the sound of that. I can just listen to that over and over again. The sounds of the birds, the sounds of the wind chimes, which there really isn't much of a breeze going today, so probably not going to hear much of anything. I'm thinking I'm going to possibly hang the wind chimes over on the tree there. I'm just going to see if I can actually hang them because it's got a pretty decent hook. And this is at my friend Bob's. I don't really see anything here that you can hang off, but I'm possibly going to look at maybe getting something that I can actually hang them off of. But I think that branch, if I can reach it, which let's go over and see if we can or not. That's sort of sturdy. Step down gently. Yeah, I might need a, yeah, I'm not going to be able to reach that. But that might be the place that on this branch back here that I wind out hanging it. Or actually, I might be able to hang it off of that tree for right now. We'll see, because that is low enough. But I'd like to hang it here somewhere, just so you can sit here and listen to the chimes and all that, which, because I don't want it to fall and break either. So we may just hang it up on the tree for right now, just to be able to have it's out in the wind and you can listen to it. So let's turn this around and you guys can check this out with me. So this is the box it came in, which is so cool. The wind chimes. There's a cool card here. It says, "You left me beautiful memories. Your love is still my guide. And though I cannot see you, you're always by my side." And then you can see this. That hangs from a chime. "Mom, you left me beautiful memories. Your love is still my guide. And though I cannot see you, you'll always be by my side." So here you can see that. And we will break this open and I will hang it off the tree. And there you go. So once again, Debbie, thank you so much. It's just really, really beautiful. I'll be thinking of Mom every single time I hear it and enjoy it. And it's right out here in the tree. And unfortunately, it's not breezy today, but the next time it gets breezy, which is usually pretty often this time of year, I will make a short of this thing playing with the birds in the background. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful sound. So thank you once again, Debbie. And we'll go on with a little bit more and talk about some stuff. Alright, so we're here outside. You get to listen to all the beautiful birdies and the sounds, and really, really pretty out today. I love these sounds, just sitting out here and listening to nature and all that. Makes me think of Mom. Obviously, like I had sent a message out on the Facebook page, and did the memories of Millersburg with Mom, and she passed last Thursday. We're now a week. She passed around 11 o'clock on Thursday night, and you know, you're down because your feelings are mixed. You're happy that she's not suffering anymore, because she was definitely struggling, and with the dementia, which is just such a cruel disease, her mind had quickly gone into like the last day where it was almost like a blank stare. Like she was still there to a degree, but it was just, it's hard looking in somebody's eyes that you love and not really seeing anything back for the first time. She had moments in the last couple weeks where she couldn't remember us at first, and then eventually would sort of come to. She had a cool moment where she just sort of came out of it, and my sister Debbie and I were there, a big old crow, and she just sort of, that's my Johnny, and it was just, I'll treasure that for the rest of my life. We had a birthday party for her last year, and I had made the video and I shared it with both my sisters. It was just so cool sort of hearing her voice again, because I guess that's the hardest thing, is you're never going to hear her voice again. I have a couple messages saved on my phone that I'll keep forever. One's hilarious because she was calling me on my phone to let me know, hey, dinner's ready. And then you could hear it on the message. I was just like, rah! She's like, ah! She's like, oh, and then her giggle, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna get you. It's such a cool memory. Just hearing her voice again, and but the hard part is you never get to touch her again. Never get to hold her hand, never get to give her hairy kisses, which she's like, you need to shave. Your hairy kisses are gross, they're icky. But she'd gladly accept whatever hairy kisses she could get. And I'm gonna miss her. I miss her now. But I know I'll see her again. For her, it's going to be the twinkling of an eye. For us, it's going to be a lifetime, perhaps. And she was a tremendous woman. She was a great mom. I always used to joke with her. I said, you're such a great mommy. And she's like, M-U-M-M-Y or M-O? I was like, well, I said, I'll bring in a thing of toilet paper and we can make you into an M-U-M-M-Y. And, I'm the mommy. But I said, no, you're the best mommy ever. M-O-M-M-Y. So that wind chime is just the coolest thing ever. It really is. I look forward to listening to that many, many times over. And it's cool too because Bob can think of his mom as well. He is a hot tub out here, and he can enjoy the sound, because he loves wind chimes. So it's sort of cool to be able to share that with him for the period of time that I'm here yet, until I'm able to go get my own place. Hopefully by fall. It's just right now everything is so nuts with prices, and it's just getting myself stabilized. Because the leg, I still got to be careful with the foot, just simply because we're not completely out of the woods yet. Like, I'm in good shape, but it's still one of those things that things could go south. It's just the nature of the issue, and so that sort of makes a determining factor on where things go from there. But we're in a good place. Her funeral is next Thursday on the 11th. And then she'll be interred with Dad at the 40 Newtown Gap. And we'll go from there. But I want to try in the next week we're going to have, because this is the last week or so has been, you get worn. I mean, trying to keep up with work. I'm missing days at work because of, the things that have to be done for the funeral and for preparations. Excuse me. You have to, it takes a lot out of you. Anybody that's going through it knows the process. I'm thankful that the funeral sort of spaced a little bit, because it gives you a little bit of time to sort of gain a little bit of sleep back as much as you can. But it is what it is. So I want to try to get out to Coleman's Park to do the reintroduction of the Colemans and their mansions of Mount Lebanon, which was originally called the Mansions of Mount Lebanon series, because it's such a neat area and just the history that's there. And then being that this will be a precursor to the Colemans' triumph and tragedy, we'll be visiting a lot more than just Coleman's Park. We'll be going outwards to some of the other neat things that a lot of the stuff that remains from the Colemans is churches. We will go down to St. James Episcopal Church in Lancaster. That is where the patriarch Robert Coleman is buried, along with the tragedy of his daughter Anna Coleman, who took her life. She was the one that was engaged to James Buchanan, our 15th president. And this was well before he was 15th president. This was back in, I believe, the 20s, teens or 20s of the 1800s. But they're all, the whole families, a lot of them are buried down there. There's a lot of them are buried down in Philadelphia as well, because they sort of went between Philadelphia, Lancaster, and Lebanon. That was sort of where they went through. They had different social circles in both, because Lancaster was a much larger, for the affluent, Philadelphia and Lancaster would have been the two big social circles of the day at that period of time, 1700s into the 1800s. And so they're buried. They had a lot of connections with mainly the Episcopal Church, but then also Presbyterian, a lot less Methodist. But they, because you had the, actually, I'm sorry, and the Methodists. They had and the Methodists, because Cornwall United Methodist is obviously a Methodist church, but we visited there. Just recently did the short for the Shea Brothers, the 7 Shea Brothers that served in the Civil War. But they paid for that church. I think a lot of it had to do with, they're all English, Presbyterian, Episcopalian, and Methodist. We're all English leaning churches. And I think with their workers, if there was a larger population of individuals who were Methodists or Presbyterians, they paid for those churches to be such. But they were Episcopalian. And yeah, so we'll do that. I want to try to get down to Brickerville to get that one done with Peter Bricker, the hometown founders, because there's a lot there which I didn't realize. Like, his burial place is very much there. The stone is still readable from what I'm aware from researching, and his home that he built, I think in 1756. I forget what the name of the locals have a name for it. I think it's like Spotted House or something like that, because they use different types of limestone. So it's got, like, I would assume red or brown limestone, and then the regular limestone. So it's something like Spotted House or something like that. So it's got a unique look. But I'd like to visit that, talk a little bit more about the history of Brickerville, because I'm not sure if he's the guy that bought the land, and then they named it after him, because I think he partially laid it out, but I don't know if he actually founded the town, or if it was always called Brickerville, because a lot of times you'll have, like, Schaeferstown, for instance. It was originally by Alexander Schaefer. He called it Heidelberg. And eventually, after he passed, the residents changed the name to Schaefer's Town, and eventually just sort of came together, and it's just Schaefer's Town. Because they did that with, like, Isaac Meyer. He originally called it Tulpahawken Town. I think it had another name as well. And then after he passed, it was called Myers Town, like the spelling of the last name. And eventually it changed. It got Anglicized, or whatever you call it, Anglicized, and became Myers Town, Myers Town. Sort of cool to see how different towns, how their names form and over time change. Palmyra is another great example. I forget what that was originally called, but then it was called Palmstown for the longest time, and then eventually changed into Palmyra early 1800s. They're not really sure of an exact date, but it was somewhere in that early 1800 to 1810, 1812. But it's cool to see how the formation of the names. Quinton's a really interesting town, because that's had like 4 or 5 different names. It was called Independence at one time. It was originally West Cornwall. It was one of the villages of Cornwall, which I didn't know that until Jared Blount had talked about that, and so it was actually part of Cornwall at one point. And then eventually called Bismarck, and then World War I came around. Everybody was sort of going away from German names, so they went away from Bismarck and they named it Quentin after Quentin Roosevelt, who was killed, I believe, in the First World War. He was a pilot and got shot down. And Teddy Roosevelt. I'm actually watching the Ken Burns documentary. They just put it on Amazon Prime, the Roosevelts, and he's so heartbroken when his son gets killed, and he called him Quinty-Quay. And it's Quinty-Quay or Quinty-Quay. And he's like, poor Quinty-Quay. He's gone. And, Teddy Roosevelt was always very go do your duty in your war. And I think that one sort of hit him hard. And, the irony then is, he was so almost pro-war. His son, Teddy Roosevelt Jr., who got the Medal of Honor D-Day, he wound up having a massive heart attack from all the stress and died shortly thereafter. And I'm trying to think what the other son's name. He wound up getting stationed down in Alaska, and he wound up taking his life. They had that family. They really struggled with depression. Teddy certainly had those issues, but he was very high functioning, and he dealt with his, he always said, take action. Like, you're always, as long as you take action and you're mobile and you keep going and going, you can sort of stay just ahead of the darkness. His brother really struggled, and his brother was the mother of Eleanor Roosevelt, who married FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Her father really struggled with the mental diseases and stuff like that, and ultimately I think he had a massive heart attack or a stroke from it, but it was just something he dealt with it with drinking. Whatever it was at that family, they had those issues. It certainly extended on to Teddy's son, who he served honorably in the military, but because he couldn't be on the front lines, it just disturbed him, because he was so put into them that duty, responsibility. You serve your country with honor, courage, and there was no way they could live up to. Obviously, Teddy and Quentin both clearly did, but to their father's courage. But it was also, to a degree, if you look at history, there was a lot of recklessness there too, and it's not a hit on Teddy. It's how he was wired. In the Spanish-American War with San Juan Hill and Santiago and all that, when they went and fought the Spanish Empire in Cuba, a lot of guys unnecessarily got killed, most likely, and Teddy was very lucky that he didn't get killed. But he was an extraordinary man, very interesting guy, no doubt one of our best presidents in a lot of ways. He got a ton done, really took it to the weird, I don't know what the crap that is. It's just like flying around, it's staring at me like, go away. But like a mosquito thing or something. But what was I gonna say? That thing got me distracted. But anyways, my brain just went completely blank. But anyways, whatever I was saying, this is what I'm saying, and it's like, this is how to make $1 million easy. ... But yeah, Teddy sort of put that, he did a lot to take on the industrialists. That's what I wanted to say. The monopolists and stuff like that, like J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller, those types of guys, and sort of made it more fair for the American worker, because at that stage they were so abused, so mistreated. the way he handled the coal strike that happened, and he realized this is going to be devastating. People were going to freeze to death. And he basically put it to the industrialists. It wasn't really constitutional what he said he was going to do, but he's like, listen, if you guys don't make some kind of deal with your workers to help them out to solve this, the government will come in, we will take over the coal industry, we will run it with the army to make sure people don't freeze to death. You guys are greedy buggers. That's not going to happen on my watch. You got to give him credit for that. Like I said, it wasn't constitutional what he said he was going to do, but it was the right thing. And he said, it's like, at the end of the day, I have a responsibility to the American people to protect them and their interests. These guys are acting not in the interests of the American people. They are taking advantage of and really abusing these workers. We need to get them back working, but we need to make sure that they get some concessions, because the coal magnates were not willing to do anything. They're like, yeah, we're I remember the one saying he said in the Roosevelt thing, that he's like, I'm not here to, I think J.P. Morgan also said something very similar. Like, it's like, I don't owe the American people anything. And it's like, actually you do, because they're spending money, which then comes to you, builds your business, and if you don't have the consumer, good luck. You have a product that's not going to sell. So you do, in essence, there was a lot of things that were not very admirable about those guys, but Teddy took them on, and so it's cool. But anyways, so I want to get up to Minersville Station. We've got 2 more rail stations that'll be coming out in the next week or so. Excuse me. I started having to take the Trulicity again because my blood sugar numbers were rising, and the Trulicity just makes me vomit all the time. And I'm back to, it's the baby. Got morning sickness, but it's not fun. But anyways, so we got 2. We got Schuylkill Haven and Port Clinton. So we got both those stations that we're going to be doing. I want to get up to Minersville because I'm hitting all these Schuylkill County stations. Another thing I'm going to start doing, Country Roads Take Me Home, but it would be Town Edition. I want to take you through, as I go through all these like cool little coal towns, especially from Tremont to Pottsville, and I think less so. Yeah, it's Tremont to Pottsville, Minersville. There are a ton of different little towns. They're really pretty little towns. So I want to do town videos, sort of like I did with the Cornwall towns. I did the Country Roads Take Me Home, Cornwall edition, Miners Village, Bird Coleman. I think I did North Cornwall, Quinton. I have a couple more of those yet they can put out, but I want to do those. Yeah, there's a lot of different things that we got coming up. It's just going to be sort of maybe a couple days in between this different stuff, just because of what's going on right now. So, but anyways, we are planning on at some point, depending on what's going on. June is filling up quickly, so it's probably not going to happen then, but I'd like to have the first YouTuber meet and greet event that we planned last year at Millersburg. I'd like to have that with you guys, because we had started the planning stages, and then my health went to garbage, and sort of that was it at that stage. But we want to have a bunch of different places available, so it's not just the Millersburg Ferry, because depending on how many people show up, you have options to go hit other places. I'd like to see them open up the Millersburg train station, so the Millersburg Historical Society could be involved. Also, it'd be cool to see maybe even Dauphin County Historical Society, Ned Smith Arts Center, and Nature Center, because they have, I think in Millersburg itself, they have the Art Center, and then they have outside of Millersburg, they have the Nature Center. So there's a bunch of hiking, really, really cool place. So I'm probably going to visit a couple of those beforehand, just so you guys can see those and see what's all available. And I think right down the road in Halifax, they have Lake Tobias, which is a cool thing for families. So I want to have a lot of this, and a lot of little restaurants like the Wooden Nickel, really neat little restaurants. There's a lot of places to eat and just enjoy the area. So it'd be a cool day for everybody. So that is some point we want to do. I do have coming up on June 15th, Daughters of the American Revolution, the Pennsylvania chapter, contacted me and asked me to speak about the Hanover Resolves, which we have talked about, the Pennsylvania historic marker. I will probably do another one that will talk about the Hanover Resolves a little bit more in depth, because it's the 250th anniversary. On the 22nd, I will be a storyteller involved with the Cherry Festival at the Alexander Schaefer Farm for Historic Schaeferstown LLC. And at some point in July, I will be doing the first of our walks in Myerstown, historic walks. I think I'm going to start with Trolley Days, which would be 1910 to 1950 roughly is when that trolley would have been running through there. So I'm going to be dressed in that era garb. And who knows, I may do something from like World War II. So there's I can get my outfit pretty easy then. I'll get one down. There's a military surplus store in Palmyra that they're really, really good, and I'm sure they can get me a uniform that fits, and be an Army officer, and then just talk about the town and what it would have been like during World War II. The patriotism, you would have seen the Gold Star. You would have seen those red outline things with the Gold Star. If you lost a child in the war, you were a Gold Star's parent, and things like that. You would have seen. I don't know if you would have seen any at Myerstown, because I'm not sure if anybody died from Myerstown. Probably did, because we just did the Ravine Memorial, and there were quite a few boys that actually passed there, just in that small town. And Myerstown is obviously much larger, but we've got a lot of cool stuff coming up. I want to say thank you once again to everybody for your prayers, your thoughts. If they could continue for our family, because it's going to be rough for the next couple weeks, month, and all that. It just is what it is. You love deeply, you're going to sorrow deeply as well. I love the one thing Andrew Garfield was talking about, his mom, and all that grief is that love that we didn't get to give. It really is. It's unspoken love, that things that we didn't get a chance to say. We've been saying, Lord knows, we told Mom all the time we loved her and all these different things, but you had so much more to give, because she had given so much over her entire life to so many people. And I have no regrets in that regard, but that's part of our grief. It's unfinished love, that continues and continues and continues, and it's a healthy thing. So, but anyways, I am going to finish this up with, there's a lilac bush over here that was my mom's favorite flowering bush tree. We had a lilac, it was a purple lilac, and she adored that thing out in Greenpoint. So let's go over there. Here we are with all the birdies in the background. Big old lilac. Absolutely love the lilac bush. I love the smell. Just such a beautiful smell. I like my lilac flavored toilet paper. Not that I eat it, but it does taste good. They're just so pretty. And this reminds me of Mom. So as always, I want to thank you all for coming along. Another talk. And as always, we'll see you all about town.